A warm welcome to A Nurse's Lift to Work with Tina and Kate, coaching podcast by two healthcare professionals. We are friends, we are nurses, master NLP coaches, hypnotherapists, parents and business owners. We are busy people juggling many things just like you.
You are in for a treat. We will chat about informal coaching tips, coping strategies, and how to effectively change your mindset and have some fun along the way. So, hop on board with us for A Nurse's Lift to Work.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kate.
And I'm Tina.
And you are listening to A Nurse's Lift to Work. Hello, my friend.
Hello. That's tremendous, isn't it? And this week, we are talking about psychological safety at work and what leaders can do to promote psychological safety. It's a little bite-sized episode for you all. Now, what is psychological safety? You may be thinking. And in a moment, Kate and I are going to tell you what it kind of isn't. But what it really is just feeling safe to speak up.
And it's a really, really interesting topic as well, isn't it? Because how many times have you been there and thought, I really want to say something, but I daren't? For whatever reason, I've been there. Absolutely, I've been there.
Yeah, and I think we probably all have. And you see it cropping up in some of the nursing chat rooms and the Facebook group. You know, people uncomfortable. They know deep down that something's not right and they ought to say something. And, you know, organisations have kind of speaking up guardians and all of these kind of people that you can go and talk to if you're uncomfortable. But fundamentally, it's down to a team and everyone in it and the leaders to create, I suppose, an atmosphere, an environment in which it's okay to talk out, to speak out, to have debates, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's knowing as well that you as an individual can do that, can say what you want to. And sometimes there has to be a bit of a shift. Now, I'm speaking from experience here because a few years ago, and not even that long ago, to be honest, I would think something, but then be like, "Oh, I'm not really sure." But actually, whether it's my age, whether it's where I am currently in my career, I now feel able to say, actually, this isn't right, whether it be about me or a situation, and to speak up about it. I wouldn't have done that before. So I think it's amazing that we are raising awareness of it, to be honest.
Yeah, because I think there's kind of a couple of reasons why people might not speak when they want to give feedback. It predominantly, I suspect, for most people, it's this idea of consequences. You know, there might be consequences if I say something. I might be unpopular. My idea might be unpopular. People might not like me, in inverted brackets. This could particularly be around colleagues. You know, if you're saying something that colleagues are involved in, that you think it might make them uncomfortable if you say that you would prefer them not to do that.
Yeah.
Even on a professional level, you know, I remember years and years ago, hearing a story about a nurse who was in hospital as a patient in a bed, and she was close to retirement, so she was probably one of these confident people, and she observed two nurses across the room speaking over the patient as they were attending to them, and she just shouted over to them, "Well done, nurses, you did that whole interaction without talking to the patient once." Now, I don't think we necessarily need to be that sarcastic, but what was kind of interesting, and what the reason this story came up for people was because actually she broke the ice of a difficult topic on that ward, because there was a few nurses who said, well, yeah, a bit sarcastic of her, but you know what, she's got a point. And there are certain nurses, when they work together, who don't involve the patient and end up chatting to each other more than they end up talking to the patient. And all those nurses obviously didn't feel psychologically safe enough to just say before this incident that they felt like that.
And there's something to be said for moving around to different clinical areas, because listeners, as you know, I work flexibly, fits in around my family, and it's lovely. But actually, knowing that I'm not stuck in the same place, in inverted commas stuck, means I do feel that personally I've got greater freedom because I don't have to work with these people all the time.
Yeah.
And that does give you a bit more, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because I think.
Yeah, because I think, as you've quite rightly said, you need to know that there's freedom for you to act, and you create some of that freedom yourself, don't you?
Yeah.
But equally, is this an environment that you're working in that feels psychologically safe? And it's interesting because it helps to know what it isn't, so you can know what it is. So I'll put a link in the show notes, but there's a little bit of research from a couple of people called Amy Edmondson and Michaela J. Caresi, I think is how you say Michaela's name. But basically, they said this is kind of what it isn't. It's psychological safety. It's not about being nice. So, it's not that you don't speak up because you just want to be nice. It's about your professionalism and that sort of thing. It's not about getting your own way. So psychological safety isn't sort of like there so that only certain people can speak up and that's so they can get their own way. It's not so you can say, this is what I think, and then that thing happens. It's about bringing up a subject so people can debate it and collectively decide maybe. It's not about job security. So psychological safety doesn't mean anyone can say anything anytime and they'll have a secure job. Because if people were bullying someone else and saying, well, I call a spade and I speak up as I wish, that's not psychological safety either. Yeah. What else might it not be? Do you know?
It's not something that is a top-down approach. Psychological safety comes from each and every one of us, everybody that we work with, and irrespective of your position or your role. Because when you think about it, let's just say you are new to role and you are aware of all of this psychological safety and how to implement it, how to make it happen, what it means for you, what it means for other people. One day you will be a leader. You might even be a leader now and not realise it. So the things that you are doing, other people will emulate, they will follow, they'll go, oh, I see what they're doing. I want to be like that. And that's how change starts. So it's absolutely not a top-down approach. Yes, people with perhaps more experience or a higher banding have got the influence in terms of policies and how things work in the clinical area, but it's up to everybody else.
Yeah. And it's interesting because at that senior level, the Care Quality Commission might be coming in to inspect a trust or a care facility, and they will be looking for things like psychological safety. And often what the senior management team will say is, we have a policy on that. We have the whistleblowing policy, we have the speak up guardians, we have all this in place. Therefore, in this institution, in this organisation, there is psychological safety. But the CQC, well, that's a good thing that it's written down, absolutely, but it's not really about the policy. It's about the day-to-day. How does it feel when you go to work in this place? And are you able to debate openly and speak up and, just talk about things? So I guess often what they would say is it's the quality of the conversation.
Mm.
Yeah.
And this is how, so Tina and I now are going to have a conversation about how this can turn into your everyday. Now, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And I mean,
So-
you know, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, these are tips for leaders, really. So we'll just talk you through a few things that a good leader would be doing and you could be doing as well. What do you reckon?
So number one, talk to the team about it, about the importance of feeling able to speak up and creating that safe space for when it's needed, because it's that open conversation, isn't it? And it's all very well if you are a leader thinking, yep, this is a safe space, I am a safe person, this is all well and good, but if nobody else knows about it, it might as well not be there. So it is engaging with the rest of the team.
Yeah.
I sounded dead posh then.
I
I'm not
know.
posh, everyone. I was like, oh my God, what's wrong with me today as I'm going into my radio voice.
Oh, excellent. Well done. Um, yeah, and it's about making sure that everybody knows. I think you're right, you know, that it's in place. But the second tip would be just facilitate is a fancy word of just saying encourage and help everyone else to speak up. So be that compassionate leader and take an opinion from everybody. So sometimes you might have to say in a room to juniors, and what do you think, guys? And you know, let's all share everyone's ideas. So it's just having that genuine curiosity and compassion for what everyone thinks.
Yeah. So the next one, and personally, I think this is they're all important, but this one is about how mistakes and failures are handled. Because often, sometimes, as I know, as individuals, so personally, when I've made a mistake and stuff, I've punished myself for an unknown quantity of time over stuff that possibly, well, really, I didn't need to. So this is about you as a leader, recognizing that mistakes are an opportunity for learning and for growth. Now, this is something that you will have heard Tina and I talk about a lot because it is important. But having that, it's all right coming from us, but having that acknowledgement from a leader, or you as a leader to open that level of conversation is really important.
Yeah, and your team won't experiment if you don't make that okay. So that's an important one, isn't it? And also alongside that, I suppose, just creating a space, a place, a conversation about kind of new ideas. So people can genuinely say, even if they're a bit crazy at first, you know, oh, I heard about this. Could we do something like that? Or I was thinking the other day, would this be better than what we do? And for that to be okay to say that without everyone bouncing on that idea really quickly and squishing it in a corner, going, oh no, we did that in 1975 and it didn't work, etc. So just make that okay and listen to what that idea is and be open to it. So definitely that one, yeah.
And encouraging it as well, because some of the best ideas is, you know, even from random conversations, one sentence that somebody can pick up on and be just like, oh, love it. What's next, Tina?
I'd say kind of embrace, I think, what they would call productive conflict. So you don't want groupthink. You don't want the leader to say something and everyone agrees automatically. Oh, of course, Kate. Yes, of course. You know, just that idea that actually having a little bit of conflict where team members can communicate their concerns about something that isn't working in a respectful manner and just say, you know, why do we do this? I just want to unpick why it's like that, without everyone getting really defensive. Just embracing that productive conflict and seeing it for that It's supposed to be helpful. You're supposed to have these kind of conversations in a workplace. So that would be another.
And then, oh, sorry, everybody. And the next one as a leader is to pay attention to your staff, all your colleagues, and look for patterns. What do people think about psychological safety? Are they being, I don't know, does one person feel more able to speak up than another? If so, why? What can you do about it? It's about advocating for everybody
Yeah.
in your team.
Yeah. And I guess making that intentional effort to promote conversations about this. So, you just say, for example, you could say, we've had a change of staff, got some new people around. It could be anybody, it could be another profession, medical or otherwise. And you might just check in with the team and say, how's psychological safety feeling now that we've all got different people around? Do the new people know how we feel about that? And you can call it psychological safety. There's no reason why not. But just kind of promote that skill of giving and receiving feedback. And I will put a link into the show notes of a really good episode that we did about giving and receiving feedback. So definitely do that.
And the final one is to celebrate wins with each other, because, a win for one is a win for everybody, because we are all in this together, aren't we? All in this together. If somebody's got an amazing idea, be like, that is amazing. That is brilliant. Let's do it.
Yeah. And credit that idea. So, in as the idea goes forward, you might want to say, oh, this idea is from Amy, our healthcare assistant. And that demonstrates that if Amy's idea can go forward, anyone's idea can go forward. So absolutely. And as nurses, we don't celebrate enough because we're always on to the next thing that needs fixing. So,
and it's that element of value as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
If your name's called out, you're like, oh, they value me, they value my ideas. And this, this psychological safety is so important. The ability to speak up is so important. But how, as leaders, can we make this the norm? How can you implement it into your everyday? Could you put it in your huddle? Because we all have safety huddles. It doesn't matter what clinical environment that you work in. We always have that time.
Yeah.
When we have the conversation. So could it be incorporated there? Could it be incorporated into your monthly meetings? Have a think about how you can make this your everyday. Might be a sentence that goes, guys, remember, my door is always open. My door is always open. Your opinions, questions are always welcome and valued. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just keep that conversation going, and you could encourage people to listen to this podcast so they have a better understanding. And you can say, that's kind of where I'm coming from on it. If you listen to the podcast, you'll understand. So
you know what? So I was thinking this. Do you know one of the reasons, apart from seeing you all the time, which I adore, one of the things I love about this podcast is the stuff that we talk about. It's the stuff that when you're working in the clinical setting, you don't think about. And then it's only when you're listening or having the conversation that you're like, oh, yeah. That's why I love it. Because if I'm having that, then other people are having that as well. And that's where change comes from, isn't it? Change just comes from one simple conversation. And if we do that, that's brilliant. Love it.
Yeah. Thank you, Kate. And I agree completely. It's nice to do chats about things that will change the way that people work. And I think that something like this absolutely would, for the positive. So it's been a lovely conversation. There'll be some great further tips in the links that we put in the show notes. You have been listening to Tina.
And I'm Kate.
And this has been A Nurse's Lift to Work.
You've been listening to A Nurse's Lift to Work with Kate and Tina. Please remember, this is not a replacement for medical treatment or help, so do seek assistance if you need to.
Thank you for joining us. Please do like, subscribe, give us stars, like and share with your friends and colleagues. All the good things.